Hello, everyone. Welcome to the real beginning of the Three Movies podcast. I'm your host, Ian Moore.
I regret. Oh God, it is going. I thought we were just preparing a bit. I actually wasn't looking and thought we were
rehearsing.
I was like, that's kind of weird, but I guess I'll go with it. And I almost said a really bad word, and I'm glad I didn't.
Okay. The theme of these three movies is struggling artists. They are movies about struggling artists.
I'm gonna guess.
Okay.
You've said I have seen one of them?
You have not seen any of them.
Okay. Well, then I never mind.
Well,
I'm not gonna guess.
You saw a bit of one of them.
Okay.
The thing is, you've said that you think it's a bad movie, but you haven't seen it, but I think you're joking.
Okay. Well, then I'm not going to guess, because the only one that in my mind I was thinking was A Fantastic Fear of Everything, which I have not seen in a very long time and is a very good movie.
It is a very good movie, and it's about a struggling artist.
Yeah.
Honestly, I came up with the idea for struggling artists because I looked through my list of favorite movies, and there's fucking a lot of these about struggling artists.
All right, I have my eyes closed because I don't want to see them until.
Okay.
You can show me one at a time, and I'll have my eyes as you say.
Now, this is very much based off what you've said in previous podcasts. I remember on the first.
Am I allowed to open my eyes yet or no?
Yeah, I'm hiding them.
Okay.
On the Movies of the South podcast we did, you said that when we do these, it would be good to start with a more fun movie.
Yeah.
So our first struggling artist movie is Frank.
Oh. Yeah, fun. Ooh, fun.
It's fun. It's a comedy.
I've seen most of Frank, haven't I?
You've seen 6 minutes of Frank.
I have not seen them. I saw them in the cabin. That's in the first 6 minutes?
Oh, well, maybe, actually. That happens pretty quick.
Maybe then. I feel like I saw at least 20 minutes.
It's possible.
Because I saw them in a cabin. That's the last thing I remember.
Okay.
I'm not against...
That happens pretty early on.
I'm not against trying it. I'm just a little...
Alright.
Okay. So we're starting with Frank.
We're starting with Frank.
Okay.
Our second... The thing is, at the time, you said you liked the first a little bit.
Yeah, and then as I thought more on it, I was like, I don't know.
I feel like that's not even really your opinion. I feel like that's Drew's opinion, and he's just using your mouth to say it.
So if this first one is based off of the fact that I want to start with a fun movie, what's this one based off of, this next one?
This one, it's, I remember you really didn't like the bleak and oppressive film style of Brazil.
Interesting, because I would assume of myself that I like bleak and oppressive things, but that is, maybe I'm wrong about who I am.
Well, you just said that you really dislike the lack of color in it.
Oh, you mean okay? I thought you meant tonally. You mean literal look?
Yeah.
Then no, yeah, I did dislike the lack of color.
This is a very colorful movie,
Okay.
A very fun movie, a very vibrant movie.
Okay.
La La Land.
Okay, interesting. This is a movie that is very interesting to me that you like. Because I would expect, based on just it being a popular musical movie, that you wouldn't enjoy it, because you don't really like popular things very often.
I like them when they're good.
But you like this one?
I like that one.
Right? All right. I'm not against it. I've heard good things.
Yeah, and I know you've been involved in musical theater before.
Yeah, most of my life, yeah.
Yeah, so, that just seems like you might be into that.
Okay.
And finally, a movie you have expressed interest in seeing, and you've even homaged to it in your work before.
Really?
Yeah.
I've homaged to a movie I haven't seen?
Yes, you have.
How have I done this?
Birdman.
Oh! Alright, there we go. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was like, what? Oh, it's because it was Drew's idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought, not that you were even wrong, but I thought that the way you worded it, that I had myself come up with something, and I was like, for a movie I haven't seen? Okay.
Yeah, it's So, and I kind of like the selection because you start with the story of a struggling musician, then you have the story of a struggling actor and a struggling musician, and then you have the story of a struggling actor. So
it kinda works out.
They bleed into each other.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's be frank, and
I hope you die.
All right, next time you hear us, we will have just seen Frank. And now a word from our sponsor.
Now
now, a word from our sponsor.
Hello, this is Don McLennan. My name is Don McLennan, and I started this amazing company called The Shoelace Company. What we do is we sell doors. It might be a little confusing because we call ourselves the Shoelace Company, but that's because my dad's last name was Shoelace. My last name is McLennan, but my dad's it's in honor of my dad. His last name was Shoelace, and he always wanted to sell doors. And he was a hardcore racist. But that's not important to the story. Anyways, we just went we just went out of business. So thanks for nothing. Fuck off. And we're back. Hello. I almost introduced myself. So we recorded 30 seconds and then it stopped recording.
We recorded 10 seconds.
Well, I did a bit about me having loved this movie and Ian being the first time he's seeing it. But it's a bit and not real. So we're gonna skip it because
I wouldn't have said anything.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it again. We already did it
right.
Once for us, and they don't. I don't. Whatever. So, Ian, this is one of your. What number is this on your favorite movie list?
I think it's
27. That's my guess.
27.
That's my guess.
I don't think you're too far off. I think it's around 20. I think it's 20 something.
It's 27. I truly believe it in my heart of hearts, my heart of hearts, even my hits of hits. You know what
Your hits of hits.
Yeah, I'm just stalling by saying
stalling while I load up the list.
Even though you're just going to cut this part out because you can edit the podcast.
I can edit the podcast. I rarely do.
You really should.
Oh, you were so close.
26?
29.
Okay. That's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so but what do you think of this movie? I mean, tell me why you love it.
I think this is a really good one for the struggling artist series here because it's almost a deconstruction of the concept of the struggling artist in a way. It shows art. It shows the kind of people who make it and sort of the mindsets that they approach it with. We see John at the beginning of the movie, who is approaching art for the wrong reasons. He's not really in it for the love of making the thing. He wants it to, he wants to make it for the kind of rock star lifestyle, to be this famous creator, to be this genius. He likes that image, but not necessarily the work. And then you have Clara, who's the opposite, the antithesis of John, who simply wants to make the thing and doesn't want the audience. And then you have Frank, who's in the middle, who is kind of the contradiction of those two characters. And I think there's a lot of things this movie says. I see myself in it a bit in some parts. I see people I know in it.
Do you see me in it?
Maybe a bit.
Really? Where?
Maybe.
Where am I? Where am I specifically?
I see.
Give me a timestamp.
I kind of see you a little bit in just kind of the various band members. I feel like if there was a committee in your head.
If there were a committee in my head.
It would be the band from Frank. I don't know.
It's a really good way to put it. Yeah. I like that.
But what did you think? What did you think of Frank? Wait, actually, let me guess. I think you liked it. I think you liked a lot of the humor in it. I don't think you're in love with it, but I think you have a vaguely positive feeling towards this movie.
Can you give me a guess? Not saying that anything you just said is right.
Okay.
But in your mind, what about it did I not like? Like, what in it, or did it do that, to me, in this scenario, stopped it from being a love?
I think you'll probably say it should have ended sooner. I feel like I know you had some kind of issue with the death of...
very minor, I want to point out. Okay. Very, very minor. But it's something I'll bring up.
Of a certain character. Of the only character who dies in this movie. Mm-hmm. We never give spoiler warnings for these, do we?
I just kind of assume it's like understood.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Right. Maybe we should though.
And I feel like you might have some minor niggles throughout.
Niggles?
Niggles.
I feel like I gotta be careful with that one, but yeah, that's good. That's pretty spot on. That's pretty much exactly how I feel.
Okay.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I do not hate it. I would say leaning on the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
I do not love it. Should have ended sooner, absolutely. I think that it falls apart just a little in the third act.
Okay.
As soon as they get to America, not as soon as they get to America, but the South by Southwest, and after the band members all go their separate ways and stuff, the issue with that, in my opinion, and this is, again, I think this movie is good. Like, I enjoyed the movie. Decently well. This movie, to me, is a character study. Very much so. I mean, most of the movie is just literally 6 people in a cabin.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's
it's actually about halfway through the movie they leave the cabin.
Is it?
Yeah.
It feels like most of it, because it really should be, because that's the best part of the movie, in my opinion, is just watching them exist. Because when they first got to the cabin, I was like, how long are they going to be here? Because this can't be that interesting, just in one place. That was my favorite part. Not that the rest of it wasn't interesting, but as soon as the characters start, like when they leave the band, like John and Frank are both very interesting characters, but they are not three-dimensional enough to be able to stand on their own. If this movie were just John and Frank, it would be an awful movie. Because they just couldn't hold it together. You need the supporting cast. So when they're gone, it's a nice juxtaposition to the earlier parts of the movie, but also it leaves a little to be desired, in my opinion. My issue with Don's death, fuck you, spoiler warning. My issue with Don's death is not even that they killed Don. It's that we saw them all like excited and like cheering, and then it was like zooming in on him, and he was heavily drinking a beer. And I went, oh, he's going to kill himself.
Yeah.
And then it showed like Frank hung himself, and I went, that's Don wearing a Frank mask. And then it was, and I was like, all right, you could have done that better. Because, like, literally 2 scenes earlier, they showed us that there was more than one Frank mask. So I was like, okay, well, that's clearly what it is.
Right.
Frank
I don't know if that moment is entirely about the little subterfuge there, about the, you know, I mean, it is to an extent trying to, I guess, get you to think, oh, is it Frank? And it's not. But I don't think that's the main goal.
Well, that's why it's a small critic, because I think that it actually has a really nice message and meaning behind it about the whole there only being one Frank, and our songs are both good, and like I think that there's a lot to be explored in that, and I actually think it's like a genius thing to do. It annoys me that it is easily perceived in a way that is supposed to be a gotcha moment.
Yeah.
When it's like, it's not. It's like not even close.
Right.
I did have one other big problem. Not big, but like not so small that I would just let it go. Just like enough that it annoyed me. When John, after he gets hit by the car when he's in the diner, and that guy talking to him,
he wasn't a good actor.
It was not a good actor.
It was not a good actor.
It was not. He was such a bad actor that it actually took me out of it, and I was like, they couldn't have got someone else. Because not only is the dialogue there probably the worst dialogue in the entire film.
I think
you don't think it's the worst dialogue in the entire film?
I think it's. I think bad actors can make okay dialogue bad.
I didn't say it's the worst dialogue in the world. Just in the film, I think compared to the other characters, like just straight dialogue wise, and obviously, like you're right, it probably makes a difference between who's performing it. But just hearing the words, it sounded very fake, and like just the words sounded very not how a person would talk. Yeah. Coupled with that guy who just is dog shit at acting, really took me out of it. I didn't like that at all. Which was not enough.
Check out that guy's IMDb page. See what he's doing.
He was in Frank, and then they were like, actually,
he was like the director's cousin or something.
He's got to be. I feel like what it felt like. This is not a joke. Watching it, I was like, this guy is such a bad actor, and this feels so out of place. It seemed like, was this movie crowdfunded?
I think
it almost feels like if you had like a movie crowdfunded, and you were like, $10,000 and you get a cameo. There's only one of them. $10,000, you get a spoken cameo. If you give us 1/5 of our budget, and some dude was like, "Yeah, all right."
I don't feel like a crowdfunded movie could have got Michael Fassbender.
I don't think. I guess I'm just saying, like, it felt like that.
Yeah, I know.
Whether or not it was that or something to the effect. That's what it felt like to me. I was like, that feels so fucking weirdly out of place.
Well, I think they kind of need that scene or something like that scene in the movie, to kind of get the overall message there.
I don't know if I agree with that.
No?
Nothing he said about them being, like, popular everywhere online because they're so crazy and people think that they're weird. Mm-hmm. I had already deduced that.
Yeah.
That clearly people weren't watching them because of their
But it's
music.
the moment that John realizes that.
I think you could have done it in a smarter way.
Perhaps.
I think in a much smarter way than just a character basically looking at the screen and going, exposition. Very poorly. Like, that is the lowest point of the movie. And I not that I won't accept another answer, but, like, I feel like you also believe that. That's.
I mean, yeah, I think maybe... I don't think it should have played out that way, but I think we needed at least a scene like that. Like, that event.
No, we needed
to
something.
happen
We
in
needed
that
something
movie,
in the same effect. I'm sure, but like I'm saying, the way they did it was just bad.
Well, I think we're agreed then.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, like, it had some good shots that I really liked, and I really liked the way it ended. Mm-hmm. Very symbolic, like the cutting back to him not being there and then walking away, and like. You know, sometimes I complain when we watch movies about, like, characters not changing. Mm-hmm. And even though they all ended up roughly in the same spot, they did all change to some degree. Even if the band members didn't change, they did change. Yeah. And I do think that it has, like, a nice message about, like, this struggling artist. So that was good. It was like the South by Southwest part up until he found Frank, that, like, 10-15 minute chunk, whatever that. Maybe I'm wrong in time, but, like, that's how long it feels. That could have been 3 to 5 minutes. That could have been, in my opinion, that could have been 1, 2, 3 scenes at most, and gotten the same effect and same information out. But that's just me. I don't know what they would have done specifically, but it did feel just a bit. It just felt a bit inflated for the sake of the runtime.
I don't know if I'd say it was for this. I think they were sort of trying to show John's struggle and loneliness and realization was the point of those scenes.
No, I understand the point of them. I just think you could have done them better and shorter.
Maybe. I like it.
That's fair. I'm trying to think if I had anything else that I specifically thought. I mean, I didn't really have a ton to say. I liked the music in it legitimately.
That's the thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's a great movie," but they say there's shitty music. But they also think it's supposed to be shitty music. I fucking love it. Yeah,
I was jamming out to some of them.
My favorite song is a song from this movie.
Really?
Yeah, they secure the galactic secure the galactic perimeter.
Gotcha.
I love that song.
Yeah, no, I mean, the music was. I legitimately enjoyed it. So, I was actually curious. I was going to ask you if they had, like, a way to listen to it.
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
I was assuming based on your answer there that was a way. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, I'll probably listen to it a little bit. I actually thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And again, I liked the message. It was just the death. I think could have been done better. That one character was just bad, and I think that the movie could have been 10 minutes shorter, but that's not a big enough complaint for me to be like, that's a bad movie.
So you think the death could have been done better, but you like that the death happens?
Yes.
Okay.
And what it symbolizes is great, and I really liked that. I just don't like the way it is. I guess maybe even, like, just how quickly it's done.
Yeah.
Because it felt very much so like, we need to show them there's another Frank head. Show it in this scene, and then the next scene they'll be drinking really heavily, and the next scene they'll be like, that's
one of the reasons the gotcha thing doesn't annoy me too much, just because of how briefly it is.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's true. I'll give you that. It's not like they're dragging it out. Like, is it Frank? It's like,
right.
It's oh, it's not. Okay. But even still, I was like, I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite thing, personally. I was going to give the movie incredible props. I would have liked the movie less, probably because what the story maybe would have been. But I imagined them being like, oh, that's Frank, and then taking off the head and being like, wait, who the fuck is this guy? Oh no, this is Frank, and the Frank who had walked out being Don and like taking his place. I thought that would have been fucking crazy, and I was like, I would probably like the movie less for whatever the movie would have been after that. But if that had happened, I'd be like, major props. I didn't see that coming. That was a double fake out, and you actually got me.
I like that this is a kind of story, a kind of movie that couldn't have happened 20 years ago. This is a very it's elements of social media and all that, and I think it works in a way that doesn't feel counterfeit. Like I feel like a lot of movies that heavily have social media in their plots do. Yeah, like it just feels like it does. It's just not really how that is.
I have a question. What did Drew not like about this movie?
I don't know, actually. We should call him. Let's get him on.
I considered it. You can call him. I don't want him to be mad at me, but go ahead and call him.
You think he'd be mad about it?
I don't know if he'd be mad, but he might be like, bah, 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 because that's what Drew sounds like. If you guys don't know who Drew is, he sounds like this. Bah, 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 bah. So that was the same joke twice.
He just texted me, so I'm pretty sure he's like not busy. Frankity Frank. That was a movie.
Is he calling?
You have reached the voicemail.
Oh, well, that would have been cool.
Oh, no! Drew, no! Maybe he'll call back.
Yeah, maybe. In the middle of La La Land, and we're like, pause it! And then we'll edit it in here. Yeah, so it sounds like he answered.
It's a really good idea if it works.
So I like how in the beginning they really try to make John a very sympathetic, likable character. But even though they're doing that, and even though there are kind of darker aspects to him that we see later, you can still kind of see the ghost of it, even in the beginning, even in those moments, when he's trying to write his song, and how he's very robotic and systematic about the way he does it. When the one character drowns and he talks to the paramedics, like, but he will need to spend the night in hospital, right? Things like that. There's just a lot of little moments in this movie that I think say a lot about the characters.
Yeah, this is related and probably not related at all, but what you said made me think of it. And I don't know why this is. You like a lot of movies that take place in the overseas. When we watch movies like Frank, the scenes where where he's just like in wherever the fuck, in England or London or wherever the fuck he is, make me feel nostalgic. Yeah. And I don't know why, because I've never even left. Well, I guess I did go to Canada once, but like, I've never been to cross the pond. Yeah. And when I see, like, I don't know if it's because like we watched a lot when we were younger. We watched like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, but like seeing that, I'm like, it makes me feel like a longing for being younger. I don't know. It has nothing to do with anything, but I don't know. I don't know if you had an answer for that, but I think that's weird.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but no, yeah, you're right. You can definitely see the the progression of his character, but it existing the entire time. Yeah. And oh wow.
I also another little moment I liked was Frank's popular song, his most likable song. Not only because it's very funny, but also I think the idea that he thinks that's what other people are like and would like, I think tells you a lot about how he sees people.
Lipstick. Was a lipstick cola?
He's a Coca-Cola lipstick ring. Go dance all night, dance all night. We can't stop the dancing.
That's what people are like. He's right. That's it.
They love their dancing and their lipstick.
And their Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's referencing.
I think that was in there,
wow.
Yeah. So I guess, is there anything left that you wanted to say?
Do you want to give it a rating?
I will give it a rating. I will say I would give this movie a 9 out of 10.
And I would give this movie a 6 or maybe a 7 on an honest bell curve. It's better than just a movie.
Yeah.
But it's not... what's a movie I like? But it's not a movie I like. Well, I do like movies. I like this movie. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
All right.
We'll see you after the singing one.
Next time you hear our voices, we'll have just seen La La Land. And now, a word from our sponsor. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Trees come in all shapes and sizes, but do you only like the small ones? Same. Here you can buy all the small trees for a discounted price of only $39.95. Small trees, get them today.
Alright, we're back. We just watched La La Land.
Alright, so what number is it on your list? Is it on your list?
It is on the list.
It is 88.
Oh, you checked?
That's my guess.
Oh, alright.
That's my guess. 88. I actually think it might be a little bit higher than that, like closer to 1, but I don't know for sure because I don't know any other musicals that are on your list, if there's even any. So I'm going to shoot a little far up. For those of you who don't know, Ian has a list of his favorite 120 some movies.
131.
131 now. So it's. I talked about it in the last movie. I'll probably talk about it in every movie. Just curious because a lot of the movies he does show me are movies that are on his list. So my guess for La La Land is that it is his 88th favorite film. I definitely think it's in that top 100, but I could be wrong.
It is my 98th favorite film.
I'm proud of being 10 off. That's pretty good. It wasn't the top 100, which, I was likely to guess that because it's most of the list. But 98th, okay, that's cool. So what about it makes it your 98th favorite film?
Well, I think there is a very impressive visual style. There is a very dynamic relationship with our two leads. I like the music, the performances. The ending is very poignant. It's a little cliche at sometimes. There's a few story elements early on that I've seen in plenty of other movies, and we all have. I like the romancing of the Hollywood of yesteryear that there's a lot of callback to, and I like the overall theme of what it is to chase a dream and the way it looks at that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I suspect you liked this movie quite a bit. I think you liked it more than Frank.
I don't know. I have a lot of notes of things that I would change. I low-key think it's a very oppressive piece of shit.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of think that it enforces like a lot of gender role stereotypes in a very unhealthy way, and the whole guy going after the girl thing, and then her being kind of less than him in parts of the movie.
What?
I'm making all that up. This movie is a movie. Here's my list. Color. Oh my god, dude! I think I've discovered that my favorite thing, you've been trying to figure out what I like in movies because you want to tailor a list to me, which is kind of what this was, right? This was idea. Okay, so I think that the most important thing in a movie to me is actually not the whole being bored thing. That's probably number 2. Is visuals, color, lighting. Does so? I mean, literally, this movie started, and you heard me. I audibly was like, "Fuck." I already like this movie just because it looks so visually stunning. Also, the shot composition. The shots are just so I look at them and I'm like, dude, that must have been meticulously thought of. Just the amount of space in the shot that's dedicated to them, that's dedicated to the buildings, dedicated to the light. That when they're looking at the sky, sometimes the sky was dark blue on one side and fading into more of a yellow, and where they're placed in that, and how much of the sky is shown. I mean, literally, the shot composition blew me away. Yeah. Along with the lighting, there were so many times where they were lit, when she walks in the movie theater and she's lit just part of her face, or when they're at dinner arguing, the lighting around them is so perfect. When she is going out in like the first like big number with the four of them, not the first big number, but like the first big number she's in. I can't remember their name. John is his name. No, John's from the first movie. I'm so bad with names. What are the characters? Mia. It's Mia and
I actually don't remember their names.
Sebastian. Sebs.
All right, yeah.
Sebastian and Mia. I'm bad in every movie. Character names. Literally, I can never blame a movie for it because in every movie I see, I'm like, literally, Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite movies. I don't know their names.
I know their names.
I mean, I'm sure you do, but they're Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. That's what they are to me.
Nicholas Angel and Danny Butterman.
Yeah, the only reason I know them in Shaun of the Dead is because I only have to remember one. Because the other one's in the title. Yeah. And I remember Ed's name just because it's like a very dumb name. It is Ed, correct?
Yeah.
When I say that now, I'm like, fuck, I don't know.
I mean, it's basically just the title if you took out like
Shaun of the Ed.
Shaun of the Ed.
But in that number, there's a part where she's like, at the club or whatever the fuck, and there's people moving and people staying still. Mm-hmm. If you pay attention, the only people moving, it seemed from what I tried to make sure I saw all of them. The only people moving are people in couples. Mm-hmm. So like the couples are moving, which could just be like, oh, it's a stylistic choice, but also it's her romanticizing the idea of being in love, which this whole movie is really about romanticizing the idea of things,
Right.
The perspective opening, showing her getting up into that point and then going back and showing him, did not expect that. Really liked it. Was very cool. I think it is so interesting that like let's put it this maybe 3/4, because would you say like the last fourth of the movie is them not together anymore?
Yeah, probably just about
where
there.
It cuts. Yeah. So about there, the first 3/4, the way that everyone speaks, the way that the lines are delivered, like specifically the way that it's written, the way that like people move a lot of the time, is literally like you put a stage show on a big screen, and progressively through their argument at dinner, it switches into more of a realistic, like hardcore realism argument that people would actually have in a relationship. And from there to the rest of the movie, it is based in realism. And that is genius to me. Yeah. Like the fact that it's so seamless. Like I caught it because I was so in theater. But there's no way some random person going to the theater was like, oh, they just switched. Like, that did, I don't think that happened. The only reason I caught it is because I spent 15 years doing musical theater. Like, so I know. But like, I was watching as it was getting progressively more serious, and like the lighting was changing the littlest bit, the music was slowing down and then eventually stops, the shots got a little bit closer, and I'm like, dude, how the fuck did they come up with that? Like, that is literally one of the most impressive things I've seen in a movie in a while. Not that this is the greatest movie ever made, because it's not. It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
And I think 98 on your list is a fair place to put it. But like, just that scene, by itself is maybe good. But after coming from the rest of what we just saw, seeing that scene and like being able to pick out what's happening, I literally like couldn't even believe that I was watching that.
Yeah. And then it makes it all the more appropriate that when they look back at what could have been, it is the heavily stylized once more.
It goes back to it. Also, it like kind of cuts that part out.
Yeah,
like they don't like as if because you romanticize the past, like what could have been. Also, it was only these great things. Like even when Keith walks up to him, in the in the actual version, like he got kind of upset at first, and in that one he just kind of like playfully like pushes him away, and Keith's kind of like ah and like walks away happily because they're romanticizing the things that happened, that was incredible. The way again, I already talked about color, but the way that they implement color strategically is incredible, because to begin with, the whole like the first number before the two of them show up, the world is like it's pretty vibrant, like the people like who are dancing have a lot of color, right? Then when the two of them meet, or I guess when it like shows her day and then his day, her day very colorful, his day not colorful at all. Then progressively throughout the movie, she loses little bits of color and he's gaining little bits to the point where then when they're separated, when they've argued and she's at home, it looks like his scene did in the beginning, and then when he's at the wedding, it's full of color because they've impacted each other's lives for the good and worse. Like, literally, that's so fucking clever. I like can't even, I know I keep saying that, but I can't even believe, just like thinking about it, I'm like, how the fuck? And then the last thing, the taddest bit cliche. And the only reason I'm calling it that is because as it happened, I went, oh, this is what this is going to be.
Yeah.
But I still like it. That in Fall, they had their argument and they broke up. And it is, representative of the fallout or something.
Yeah.
As soon as it came up on screen, I was like, oh, that's what it's going to be. But it did make me feel like, oh, I called it. It made me feel like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Especially with that being the turn from theatrical to more realistic. And them not ending up together hurts, but in such a good way.
Absolutely.
In a way that I wish movies did that more. I say that, but then maybe it would hold less weight. But this movie is literally just almost poking fun at the tropes of musical theater. Literally the way he is dressed the entire time. Because I know you did some musical theater. I don't know if you did as much as I did.
I've done theater. I don't think I've done.
Have you not done any musical theater?
I did Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy.
Okay, I have done, as you know, a lot of theater.
Yeah.
For someone who is not professionally doing theater. Even the way that he's she too, but the way he is specifically dressed in the movie is so generic musical theater leading man. He's a straight-laced guy who's average weight, average height, average length hair. He's white. He has a beard, and he wears a suit. And he likes music. That's literally if you took the antithesis of all musical theater leading men. That's the guy you would get. And it's incredible because it doesn't feel shitty or forced. It's oh no, it's it's like they literally took the essence of musical theater without actually having to make it be musical theater and turn it into a movie in a way that feels both like a movie and an honorable homage to musical theater, which is incredibly difficult. Also, the music pretty rockin'.
Yeah.
I liked it. And it wasn't the most stellar music in the world, but I really enjoyed it. I also really liked that they didn't overdo it because there are musicals out there that, holy shit, please stop playing music. I'd like to see a scene. Yeah, there was a point in this movie where I literally was they haven't done music in a while.
Yeah.
Which was
For
good.
a musical, there's not too many, song numbers.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
Also, it does a great job of them having a few dance/song sequences where it's very dreamy and like the last one, the ending where it very much so looks like a set at one point, or when they're in the planetarium and they float up. Which at first I was oh, that's kind of funny, because it's dumb funny, oh, I'm gonna float. But it's nah, dude, that's what musical theater is like. Literally, West Side Story is just one example. One of the most famous musicals of all time. There are a number of dance sequences that are basically just the two main characters in a dream state, essentially. Not really, but to make it make sense canonically. And they're dancing, in the stars together. They're singing together, just while everyone else is frozen. And it does a great job of doing that, but not making it look like shit, you easily could in a movie, Because translating theater to movie is not easy. I don't know if you've seen a lot of movie versions of shows and musicals and stuff.
I've seen a few.
Some of them are really good. Some of them, holy shit, bad. Not a good idea. You shouldn't have done that. And it's kind of hit or miss, But this does a great job of showing it as a movie. I don't know. I'm not trying to talk in circles. You could talk more, but I am so pleasantly surprised by this movie.
Okay, I think I'm kind of nailing it a bit on this tailor-made Bay 3 movies.
You found one that I thought was good,
Yeah.
and now one that I'm yeah, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
So let's either I'm really gonna like Birdman, or I'm going to kind of like Birdman. If we statistically, so that's pretty good.
Maybe it'll be the one you hate. Maybe we'll have a big old fight.
Probably be more fun to listen to.
Probably.
How fun can it be listen to two guys agree for for an hour?
I think sort of at the end, they've chosen their dream over that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's how their life took them in different directions, and it actively denies you that perfect happy ending.
Yeah.
But they are both happy.
Yeah. Well, that's what I liked about it, is it didn't have to be... Because so often I talk to people about this, kind of a lot, actually, because it really bothers me. I'm always I hate that every movie ends with a guy gets the girl, or the good guy saved the day. And people are oh, you want sad endings? And I'm nah, dude. You can be a happy ending and be different.
Right.
Like, yeah, it hurt, like, me, the viewer, to like, imagine, like, oh no, these two characters who I loved together, they didn't make it together. But, like, also I'm like, yeah, but they did it. They both did the things that they wanted to do. She has a kid and a husband who she's clearly happy with. And, you know, he is literally the owner of a club that was his number one dream. Like, they both got the things they want. And then they look at each other and they give a little nod at the end of, like, yeah, we both did it. We made the right decision. This is where we were meant to be. And that's okay. And I like that.
And there is that line where they do acknowledge that they will always love each other, that they will always have that place for each other in each other's hearts.
Yeah, which was pretty powerful. And when they said it, I was like, I didn't expect a time jump, but I expected there to be like, I kind of expected like maybe a little time jump. I didn't think 5 years.
Yeah.
And I expected like we'll always love each other, and then they get back together. Like, oh, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah. Sometimes people don't get back together.
That's the thing. You can't have everything
Yeah.
in life, because it's not, because that is a fantasy. The idea that how every other movie ends, with not only do they beat the bad guy and the guy gets the girl and they get a fucking puppy and they get a house on a hill and it's very nice and they have 18 cars. And it's no more rain ever again, but the plants are fine. It's just sunny, and there's a rainbow every day.
I low-key think this movie might be genius.
Yeah.
Like, literally thinking about, like the theme of the movie is, like, is romanticizing things. So even, like, the entire movie in itself is romanticizing itself and their relationship, because we're watching it through a lens. Whereas their relationship, like, with musicals, sometimes, you know, like the musical Crazy for You, which I don't know if you know. I was in it. It's a good musical. If you don't know it, I recommend it. But the musical is about a guy who wants to be a professional dancer and a girl whose dad owns a theater, and that's, like, they're the main love interest, right? So even though there are songs that happen that could be, like, quote-unquote, like, not real, like, in, like, their mind, you know, whatever, like, or in, like, the dream state or whatever, a lot of the songs are just, no, like, this is actually happening. They're singing together at the theater. They're singing together about stuff. But there are also musicals where it's like, no, like West Side Story. They're clearly not really singing. They're two gangs who are trying to murder each other.
Right.
It's presented in musical theater as a stylistic choice to tell a story. So this does a great job of the latter. Whereas, like, I guess actually a mixture of both. Because there are literally times where music is happening.
Yeah.
When he's on stage, that is not romanticizing. He's playing music. But it's also the other version, because when we're just seeing them sing together, that's clearly not really happening.
Yeah.
So even us as the viewer are romanticizing this relationship where, no, they didn't stand there and sing by a lamppost. They had a nice conversation, and then they wanted to see each other again.
Yeah.
And that's in itself beautiful. God damn, I really like this one.
I'm glad. I'm glad to just to hear you talk about it 10 minutes straight.
I'm like,
such passion.
I'm almost low-key annoyed because people were like, this movie's so good, and I was like, it probably sucks. No, it was real good. Jeez, also, the two of them kill it. Like, we didn't even talk about, like, them, but they... listen, here's my thing. Emma Stone, in my opinion, is probably top 10 working actresses today. That is my honest opinion. Because if you were to, like, I'm bad at thinking of actors and actresses a lot, and I know that about myself. But when I think about Emma Stone, like, dude, she's been fucking killing it.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, she's just good. And now she's gonna be in Birdman, so I've got high hopes there. And Ryan Gosling, I don't know a lot of things he's in. I'm sure I've seen him in a lot of things. He's one of those, like,
He's in a lot. He's in a lot of good stuff.
well, okay,
I saw him once at TIFF.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
He was there for. I didn't like meet him or even see the movie he was in, but I saw him outside the theater for First Man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But he's like the stereotypical, like, average white male looking kind of dude, which is perfect for this role.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I've seen him in a lot of things and not realized it's him because he's to fill the role of, like, the white guy. But I don't know how he is in other stuff, but he killed it here.
Yeah.
Like, he did a great job when he's doing. I don't like. You asked me about it. I don't know if he's really playing the piano. I fucking hope so because it's dope. I mean, I guess either way, it's dope.
Yeah.
But when he's, like, going at it and his hair's, like, falling that really specific way, I'm like, this dude fucking loves jazz. Like, Ryan Gosling in real life could hate jazz music, and he has convinced me that he is so in love with this art form. Literally.
You know, Damien Chazelle, the person who wrote and directed this, clearly has a big passion for jazz.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny. You know, the other big critically acclaimed movie that Damien Chazelle made.
Is it Whiplash?
It is Whiplash.
That's really funny. I don't know if we've talked about it, but I refused to watch Whiplash for the last so ever many years because I saw a 5-second clip of it that I didn't like.
Yeah.
But we're gonna watch it for 10 years, right?
We said 20 years.
Was it 20 years? What was 10 years?
The Doctor Who episode, The Girl in the Fireplace.
Okay.
We can watch Whiplash.
No, it's okay. We can watch it in 10 years. If we're both alive in 10 years and still friends, I will watch Whiplash.
I'm just saying, the dude who made this movie you love made another movie.
Yeah, that's true, but fuck that though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This was a good movie. What would you give this movie out of 10, Ian?
I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. Solid 8. Not like, oh, maybe high 7, solid, firm 8.
Okay. I am going to give it a solid 8. I currently feel that it is a solid 9, but I'm right after the zeitgeist of like seeing it in my mind and being like, oh, it's so good. And it will probably shift a bit. I mean, even that happens with me with a lot of movies that you show me. Like, Sorry to Bother You in my mind, I was like, it's like a 3. And then I realized later, I was like, nah, it's like a 6. I was just in a shitty viewing space.
I don't even remember it was a 3.
Maybe
reaction.
I didn't say it was that low. I don't.
Yeah.
We didn't do it for 3 movies. We just did it. But like, I remember giving it a lower score than it deserved by far.
I remember you liking Clockwork Orange more after the fact.
That one, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that might happen with this one. Maybe after the fact, I'll be like, you know what? No, it was a 9. Clockwork Orange, in the moment, I was like, that was a really good movie. And then I thought about it, and I was like, no, that's an incredible movie.
Yeah.
That movie is outstanding. I fucking love that movie. So maybe it will change to a higher number. Maybe it will be a 9. But for now, I'm going to give it a solid 8 because it is still great, way above average, and I don't want to overscore it on accident and then have to retract my statement and feel bad about it.
Yeah, so the one cliche that I think kind of annoys me is how they don't like each other at first, but then they grow to like each other. If, for example, see every other movie.
Yeah.
But I can kind of forgive this movie, I think, a little more for its cliches, not just because every other aspect is so good, but because there is this heavy element of homage in this movie.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's saying to us as we're watching it, yeah, it's a cliche. That's what we're referencing.
Yeah.
It's a cliche. We're going to get through that so we can get to the real movie. Because really, the first 10, 15 minutes, I was into it, right? But I was like, okay, it's cliches.
Yeah.
And if you just watched that, you'd be like, yeah, it's cliches.
Right.
But you watch the rest of the movie, you're like, oh no, the point was that it was cliches so it could get to the real movie, which is still paying homage, which then it could transfer into realism, which then hits you hard and then show you the romanticism. I keep saying that word, but the romanticized past of what you just watched, and then hit you hard with the no, actually, though, they don't. They don't.
Yeah. And they're living within Hollywood, this society of glitz and glamour and romanticization. And so they're also seeing their own lives and their own stories through that same lens.
Yeah. God, and also the color, holy shit. I know I said it 3 times, but the color, dude.
I said this while we were watching it. That was one of the big reasons I picked this movie, because of how very impressed you were with the color.
If you want to pick movies I will probably like, I guess start with a movie that's got good color. Because every movie you show me that has great color, not only do I point it out, but I also end up loving that movie.
Yeah.
And listen, if you haven't seen a movie with good color, or if you think that maybe it's not that big of a deal, all I'm saying is that I used to not give a shit about movies to the level that I do now. Nowadays, I would call myself a low-key movie snob. Because if I tried to watch something like Justice League, I'd probably fucking hate myself. I'd be like, this is dog shit. Whereas, I looked at a Facebook post of mine from 4 years ago, and I said that Million Ways to Die in the West was really good. So, who fucking knows what I was on back then, because it isn't. I saw another one. You know the Kevin Hart movie Get Hard? Yeah. I gave it an 8 out of 10 6 years ago. What the fuck is wrong with me? There's no way that stupid movie is an 8 out of 10. I haven't rewatched it. I'm not gonna.
I think the process of falling in love with the art of cinema doesn't take that long.
Yeah, it really didn't. It was like, you started really showing me movies, and I was like, oh, shit, I love this. But one of the first movies you really showed me was Grand Budapest Hotel. And I remember seeing that movie and thinking to myself, holy shit, the colors. I didn't know you could do that with colors in a movie. And now, since that, I don't know how many years ago it was that you showed me that. I mean, it was before college, because I lived at my parents' house still. We watched it. So that's at least, 4 years? Three or 4 years? Since I've seen that movie, literally every single movie I've ever seen, I go, is the color good enough?
Yeah.
I fucking saw Avengers Endgame, and I praised that movie so much, but in the theater I went, the colors are a little bit drab, though.
Marvel's color correction is pretty bad.
And I'll give it to you. We argue a lot on Marvel movies. You're fucking right, it is.
Yeah.
Marvel's color correction ain't good. It just kind of looks dull, in my opinion.
A lot of it is because there's no proper black value.
Interesting.
So,
I wouldn't know that myself.
Yeah, like the darkest parts of the shadows that you should be black, that you would think would be the color black, are just kind of a muddy, dark gray.
So you can see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Marvel movies aren't really good at being stylized a lot of the time.
No, they want them to not be stylized so that they all kind of feel similar.
Yeah,
to
which
each other.
I understand the reason you don't like that, but part of me is all like, part of me doesn't like that, to be honest. But also part of me is like, it's just an expensive TV show.
Yeah.
So like, and I know some people use that as like a criticism. I actually use that as praise, because I think that it's like one of the smartest things anyone's ever done in cinema ever is just make it a TV show.
I think there's TV shows with more interesting visual style.
TV shows, no, there certainly are. I'm saying, but like, if you're going to spend millions of dollars on your TV show, you gotta make sure that the general audience is gonna watch it. You know?
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that it's better. Would Marvel movies be better if they were more stylized? Probably, yeah. But like, I can't discredit. I'm not taking away points.
I think it's just because the demographics that Marvel are chasing don't really care.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, if someone made a TV show style set of movies that were stylized like this or Grand Budapest, holy shit, dude. I would be in fucking line. I would be so excited. I don't even know what you would do with that, but I would just be like, yeah, I gotta see it, you know? Fuck, dude. Yeah, so start recommending more movies that have color like this.
Okay.
Like, listen, I understand you like Anomalisa. I don't fucking like stop motion. Give me movies with color.
And that'll be 3 movies. 3 movies with color.
Actually, what you should do is, to fuck with me, is you should present 3 movies that are in black and white. Be like, I think you'll love the color on these.
Oh, yeah. I can already think of several. I like how we watched this instead of one of the movies we would have watched is It's Such a Beautiful Day.
Yeah.
Great color.
Well,
that was the movie that was an hour long, by the way.
That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have to say. Personally.
So it sounds like it's a collective 8 out of 10.
I would say collective 8 out of 10. Yeah, that's
I think
fair.
I'm nailing it once again. Just gotta say, I've nailed this Baylor-made list of movies.
I hate that. Don't ever say that again, or I will punch you in the knee. And 2,
doesn't sound so bad.
In the left knee, though.
It might be worth it.
The back of the left knee, with a knife.
All right, well.
And 2, you say killing it again, but you did show me Cloverfield.
Well, yeah, and I feel like based off that,
you knew not to show me Cloverfield ever again.
Well,
I guess I did like the other 2 in that thing. So
you did like the other 2. I think
is that the only movie I've really hated?
Cloverfield? Yeah, I mean,
because even Brazil, like, I talked shit about it in the moment, and I still felt that in the moment. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I might need to just watch it again. Like,
really,
I think alone.
I listened to our discussion of Brazil back. And
I really didn't like it.
Yeah, you said you would rather watch Cloverfield again.
Yeah, and part of me feels that, but also part of me is like, but Ian's right. It seems like the kind of movie I would like, there are still parts of it that I know I'm just gonna fucking hate. But I think I would appreciate it more maybe if I tried to watch it in a different setting, maybe by myself for some reason. I don't know why they would change it, but I don't know. Maybe it would give a different response. I'm not saying I'm going to do it anytime soon, but it's something I've thought about.
I remember the moment when I was like, you didn't think any of the comedy was... They were like, there were jokes?
yeah, that was a legitimate feeling.
I think both of these movies that we just watched so far, you have liked the comedy.
Yes, I do like. I like comedies. It's my favorite kind of movie, probably. So
I think that these movies have some pretty clever humor in there.
Listen, you know how you guys give me like a movie. Here's here's a little lesson for y'all. How to get Bay Dorenbos to like a movie 101. Number 1, color. Mm-hmm. Number 2, it doesn't have to be a comedy, but good jokes where it doesn't take you out of the fucking movie.
Oh, they're very good at blending the tones.
Number 3, don't make me pay for it. I think that if you made me pay to watch each movie that you showed me, Ian, I'd probably like them all a little less. And last but not least, make your movie good. Don't make a bad movie. Because if you make a bad movie, I won't like it.
Yeah.
So, but that's that on that.
Yeah,
and,
I think I'm probably... We stopped talking about the movie a little while ago. I'm probably going to cut a good bit of this out.
So, next time you hear us, we'll have seen Birdman. Here's a word from our sponsor.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
We're in a fucking car. Yeah! Anybody want cars out there? Come get them! Look at these cars! Some of them are green. Yeah, I love green. Fucking green as shit cars! Oh my god, look at that. It was kind of like a greenish blue. These are my favorite. We sell some red ones.
Alright, we just watched Birdman.
Yes, we did. The Virtue of Ignorance.
Or the Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so what do you think I think of this movie, since we've done this for the last two?
I get a feeling like you might not have liked that one because you checked the time a lot.
I wasn't checking the time. I was typing.
Well, there were these times when... I don't know.
I was doing other things. Honestly, I was barely checking the time. The only time I was checking the time is when I was going home to use the bathroom. I was looking at the clock there, and I was like, oh, we're 37 minutes in. Oh, we're plugging my way in.
Right.
Yeah, it's not great in my opinion.
All right.
I don't hate it. I think it
stretch. Get ready for the fight.
It's I'm not. The thing is, I'm not even heated about it because I just don't. It just doesn't grab me for a lot of it. I don't feel it for a lot of it. It feels very slowly paced for a lot of it in a way that I don't like. I have specifics that I'll get to in a minute, but I think honestly that when it's telling the story of him losing his mind, it's a better story. When it veers off to anything else, it kind of falls flat in my opinion.
Okay.
Because the other characters I don't find to be particularly interesting, and I don't really care about them. I care about him a lot, and I do care about his daughter a little bit, but Edward Norton's character, I don't give a shit about him. I just think he's an asshole. So any part that was him doing something, that there was a couple parts where what was Birdman's actual name? I don't want to keep calling
Regan Thompson.
Regan. There's parts where Regan just isn't there and he's doing stuff, and I don't care. I don't care about the subplot about his relationship with the other actress. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care about the subplot about his ex-wife, presumably who that is. I'm assuming based on it's Regan's or his daughter's, Sam's mom. That doesn't mean I don't know. There's none of that is presented in a way that interests me personally, and I think that the movie leans so heavily on it all looks like one big take that it overall takes away from what the story could have been, because that is awesome and looks super cool. And at no point do I think it's bad, because I think it leads to some incredible transitions and shot composition and tons of cool stuff. But I feel like they focused so heavily on that the story took a backseat almost in areas, and I didn't like that. And I have more specifics if you'd like me to go into them, but that's my general opinion to start.
All right. Well, I guess I'll throw my stuff out there.
Okay.
The reason I picked this movie in the kind of movies Bay would like Part of it is you have spent a lot of time during theater, so I thought maybe you'd
I did think it was cool.
it.
I'll give you that. I did appreciate about this movie, and a lot of the existing backstage. I was like, that feels very real.
Yeah.
That was good. That was well done.
Yeah. And I remember you saying in Brazil how you didn't like them showing exactly where the line was as to what was the reality of the story and which surrealist elements didn't actually happen.
And for the record, I do appreciate that about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's a bit... The ending confuses me the taddest bit.
Yeah.
Which I think is because it's semi-surrealist. That's fine. Not a slight. But, like, no, I like that there were parts where I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
You know, and I do like that more. So you did a good job there.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of different ways to look at that ending. You could say he killed himself in the end, and his daughter seeing him flying is part of his imagination. You could say that he killed himself on the stage, and this whole scenario is his imagination because it's everything that he wanted.
Yeah.
You could say that he really is flying there. You could say that he killed himself and his daughter's beginning to follow into his hallucinogenic footsteps.
I'm going to go with he killed himself on the stage because I honestly think that's where the movie should have ended.
Okay.
I think that extra 5-6 minutes did not do anything for me story-wise and actually detracted from the hard-hitting ending that I thought was the ending. Mm-hmm. And I was going to be like, I really respect that ending. And the ending we got, I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think that 6 minutes detracts from the thing right before it.
This is gonna be a hard disagree with you from me.
That's fine.
I think that ending is really what the movie's been building to, is those moments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. And I just don't see it. I don't know. To me, it feels oddly forced in a way that doesn't feel like it fits. It feels like there were two writers, and there was more than two, clearly, but it feels like there were two writers, and one of them said, I guess maybe let's say 50-50. Let's say it feels like two of the writers said it should end at him killing himself right on stage, and the two writers said, well, it should end with maybe him killing himself, but there should be this other side thing. Let's all lay rock, paper, scissors, and whoever wins gets the extra things. Whoever gets what they want, and the guys who wanted the side thing won, and the other guys were right. That's a really weird, crude way to put it, but that's what it kind of feels like. It just feels like, or it feels like half the writers wrote the ending where he kills himself, and the other half were like, we went to the PR team, and they said we can't do that, so we have to make it a little bit more maybe optimistic. Chunk on this extra 5 minutes in this hospital scene that doesn't really do anything for anybody. I don't know. It doesn't add to the characters at all. I don't know. I just didn't care about it personally.
Okay.
Would you like me to go to more specifics? I have.
All right. Yeah. Bring up the notes.
All right. There's not a ton, and one of them is even a good note.
One of them.
So actually a couple of these are related to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue in this movie bothers me.
Okay.
Because a lot of it is incredible, in my opinion. But sometimes it's so fucking bad.
Like when?
You're my lawyer, my producer, my best friend.
I saw you pick
that
up
is
the phone when
such.
he said
That is.
that.
I was literally like, yeah, no, I needed to know that exposition. Thank you for making sure I knew it. Or when the one girl goes, "This is Broadway," I was like, God, "Fucking, that's so." No one says that. God, stop that. The woman who played Sam's mom is just a bad actress in general, and every time she was on screen, I just didn't give a fuck.
No, but okay.
What do you mean, no? I can have an opinion that she's not a good actress. You can't say no to that.
Continue.
Sam rant. When Sam gets mad and rants at
Regan Thompson.
When he finds her smoking weed, that rant of hers is so forced and fake, and I hate it. Like, the rant is necessary.
That's like what the whole movie is about, is in that rant.
Yeah, the dialogue is bad, in my opinion, so it doesn't come off well. Because her just going like, nobody knows who you are, you're a nobody, 3,000, blah, blah, you don't even have a Facebook page. Like, people don't talk like that. It sounded like somebody who doesn't know what internet lingo is like trying to write what a teenage-ish girl, early 20s.
I think she's talking like that because she knows the limited grasp Regan Thompson has on the internet.
Yeah, that's just how I saw it. The mirror shots are really cool. You don't got to do them in every scene.
The mirror shots.
They do a lot of shots where someone, you're watching a character, the camera is behind the character, but you're seeing the character through the mirror as well, so you see the front of their face, but you can't see the camera in the mirror, which is cool. And they do it so much.
Well, they're in a dressing room.
Yeah, but they do it not just in the dressing room. They do it
Plus, because this place has to be a real place and not a set. They can't remove walls and things, so I think that's just the best way to do that.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's a lot of that shot. Yeah. And for example, I don't know if you saw the new Ralph the Movie Maker video about Aquaman.
Aquaman.
He complains about that director doing a lot of the same shot where it pans around a person and then halfway through the pan it's the next group of people. I felt the same way. I was like, well, I'd call someone out for that because that's dumb. This is an overuse of a shot. It looks cool, it looks good, and it fits so well in almost every place, if not every place they use it. It fits well. It's not even that I think it's bad. It's just overused that it took me out of the movie, and by the end of it, I was like, it's another mirror shot. You can do other shots.
Plus, they also don't have the convention. They can't cut, so they can't do a over-the-shoulder kind of 180 angle.
I'm aware that it's
movies.
Again, to go back to what I said. I feel like the being one long take thing.
I think that's
has affected other parts of the movie for the negative.
So I think the mirror shot is kind of a necessity.
Yeah, but it's not great after 12 times, after 15 times, after 20 times. It's not fun anymore. Yeah, we get it. That's the cool shot. Do something else, please. And clearly you're able to do something else because there's a ton of shots in this movie that are incredibly interesting that we see one time only, the kind of way that they do it, and just, that shit's sick.
There's a normal way of shooting a conversation, and this is their normal way of shooting a conversation because they can't do the normal way of shooting a conversation.
Yeah, I understand why. Yeah. I don't like that it happens so much. It's not that I'm confused about why it happens. I get that it's the necessity. I'm saying that my overarching opinion of this movie is, yeah, it's a good movie. Probably would have been a better movie if they didn't lean so heavily on it having to be one take thing, and I think it takes away from other parts.
Yeah, the story takes a back seat to that, but I think that's integral to the story, the film style. I think they're interweaved with each other.
I think that they are as well, and I think that if you had just made a different movie that didn't have to be the entire movie looking like one long take, and maybe just did a lot of long takes, several long takes, and maybe that was like a point that it was a lot of long takes, but it wasn't just one big long take, there would have been time to, I don't know. To me, I feel like there are ways that this movie could have been better story-wise, and I just think to myself, okay, well, they probably spent a lot of time figuring out how they were going to do the camera work to look good, because it does look seamless, I think, every time.
Yeah.
I mean, other than when it's clearly a cut at the beginning and the end, I don't think there was a single point where I was like... No. I mean, there's sometimes where it was pitch black for a second because they walked into the door, and I was like, they probably cut there.
Yeah.
But, I couldn't tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't really know where the cuts are. There are points when it would have made sense to cut there, but you don't know.
No, I never at any point was like, oh, they obviously cut there. Yeah. I did. It was well done. But the point I'm making is that it was so well done, and they probably spent so much time on it, I feel like the other things might have taken a little bit of a back seat to do this thing. The CGI is not the best. And
do you just mean the flying
The
scene?
flying specifically. Yeah. The rest of it actually looked fine. After I wrote that down, I was like, oh, I mean, that looks... the big giant metal bird was, not amazing, but, it was early Marvel movie, if not later quality, which this is 2014, so it's, it makes sense.
Yeah, but 5 years ago.
Birdman flying wasn't great. And then the good thing I wrote is when they talk about the human race, when he wipes his mouth with a napkin, that whole conversation and the way that shot is shot, which is not through a mirror, was incredible and probably the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
That one bit.
Yeah, I think that is the most human any characters feel in this movie. I think that is the best. It is shown that their relationship and the dynamics of it. I think that whole scene is great.
So what I see this movie as kind of being about is our search for love. Everyone's search for love and Regan's search for love. How he needs to be loved so much, not just from the people in his life, but from the public at large. Deep down, that's what he's going through, is a struggle of being alone in the crowd. And I think, do you think those aspects are well done? Yeah?
I mean, do I think they're well done? To a degree. I think this, again, I don't think this movie's bad. I just think they could have been better.
Right.
I think my big issue, too, is when I look at this movie, and I'm going to compare it to another movie, not because they are very similar, but because they have similar elements. Synecdoche, New York.
Right.
I think you understand what I'm saying, that they're similar in ways. So I watched this movie, and the entire time all I could think is, I would just rather watch Synecdoche, New York. I would just rather watch, to me, what is a better version of this movie, with different theming, a totally different cast, a totally different art style, but not film style.
Wow.
But like, similar concepts, similar ideas, similar story structure to points. And to me, I was like, I love that movie. And that movie is an incredible movie. I'd rather just watch that movie.
Yeah.
I think that this movie is, it's not that I don't think it's good. It's that it doesn't grab me for some reason.
Okay.
Well, the beginning I was like, because I've seen the first 5 minutes before, if even. Because I've seen him floating and then talk to her on the computer and then walk out of the room. I don't remember how much I've seen after that, if really anything. Maybe even them sitting at the table at most. But like, I've seen that little bit, like tiny bit. And I like that, and I like elements of that. And I don't know. I think my issue is Birdman in his head.
Yeah.
Is one of the most interesting aspects of the story. Is this character, this man, losing his sanity, and hearing this voice of someone else, but also it's him, but it's also him from the past. You know what I mean? Like, and it pretty much never comes up when he's around people.
What do you think of the Best Picture win on this movie?
What year? I don't know what else was out that year, to be honest with you.
Grand Budapest, Boyhood.
Well, no then. Because Grand Budapest is, in my opinion, one of the greatest movies ever made. It's severely better than this movie in every way.
Severely better than
well,
this
not,
movie in every way.
That's not just because I think this movie is not as good as I wanted it to be. It's because I think Grand Budapest is one of the best movies ever made.
Both of those movies do have a very adventurous film style.
And I just like Grand Budapest more. And I feel like it doesn't detract from the rest of the movie. Actually, I think it enhances the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Where with this one, it does enhance in a lot of sections, but there are also points where I'm like, God, man, I don't know. Get to what I care about. What I really care about is Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Does an incredible job. Not that any of the actors, other than personally for me, his mother, his ex-wife, none of the actors are bad. I think that they all do a rather well job. Rather well. That's not correct. But you know what I mean.
A rather well job. Should put that on the cover.
Yeah, but I think that the parts where he's alone are the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So, like,
I'd say that the best. I was interested in the other characters. I was interested in Edward Norton and Sam and his wife.
Again, Sam's the only one that maybe grabs me a little bit, and that's probably just because it's Emma Stone, and I just really like her. I also think she does a good job. I'm kidding. She actually does a great job. But like Edward Norton's character, like, isn't interesting to me.
No,
because having done so much theater in my life, I knew people who acted like that.
Yeah,
and I just don't like. They're just assholes, and I don't care about them. Like, I was not interested. Like, ooh, what's his story? Why? When she's like, so you're an asshole because of this, and he's like, I don't know, maybe, but like. I don't know. Like, I just don't care. I don't care about his character.
I think with you, characters that are kind of dicks turn you off of them a little more than I do. I was still interested.
But see,
in him.
I don't know if that's it though, because I like movies that have characters who are just assholes.
Well, that's what you were citing as the reason you don't like him.
No. That's not the reason I don't like him. That is what his character is to me. The reason I don't like him is because he is not presented in a way that I find interesting. Okay. He is not presented as being a character with enough depth that I care about.
I see Mike Shiner as kind of... It's sort of the ghost of Frank here a bit, because he, like Clara and John, he is the antithesis of Riggin, where Mike doesn't care about the popularity of what he's doing. He cares about the artistry of what he's doing. And that's only really when he feels alive. Riggin is obsessed with the world around his art and not necessarily the art itself. It's like Emma Stone's character says that he's not doing this for the sake of art. He's doing this to be relevant again, to revive his career.
Yeah, but I think the difference is that with Clara and John, I feel like her character is done well enough that even though I didn't like her and she was an asshole for a lot of the movie, I was still, every time she was on screen, I was like, what the fuck is she gonna do? Every time...
Well, she also has redeemable qualities, and I don't think Edward Norton's character really does.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I think that he has redeemable qualities. Like, he tries not to sleep with Sam because he, like, legitimately thinks it's a bad idea, and then he does. I mean, at least it's alluded to.
I don't think it's because I think he just didn't want to.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I do think he has redeemable qualities, and I think that he is a three-dimensional character, but I just don't think in a way that is interesting to me.
Okay.
But most of his character is just chaos, and chaos is fine in a movie, and it's fine in a character when it serves a purpose, and not that it doesn't serve any purpose at all, but by the end of it, it stops. Like, there's a point where, you know, like he tries to fuck the other girl on stage, and he's doing all this dumb shit, and then Riggin punches him, and then he fucks Riggin's daughter.
Yeah.
And then other than that, like, at a point, we just kind of stop. He stops being around for a little bit. Like, he's like, not that he's not around, but, like, he's not doing crazy shit anymore. Like, it's just not affecting anything anymore. And to me, it's like, okay, so it gets by. I don't know, like, it just is not there anymore. Like, I don't know, it's like they wanted to take it somewhere, and then they just decided not to. And because of that, it feels like everything he did was for naught. Because even though it did affect the story, by the end of it, Riggin, I still think, would have had a mental breakdown without him being there.
Maybe. Like, he's one of the stressors, I think.
But I think there's so many stressors that something else would have been a stressor. I don't think that... He doesn't feel necessary to me. He feels like a character who was put in this movie because they were like, this would be a fun character, or this character we think fits in the movie. But I look at it and I go, yeah, but he doesn't feel necessary. And if your character doesn't feel necessary, then they shouldn't be in the movie.
I disagree. I
Wait,
think...
what? You disagree with this movie that you like and I don't super love? What?
Well, I love this movie.
What number is this?
This is number 7. Wow. I feel this is my favorite movie we've watched on 3 movies, and I feel completely comfortable calling it a masterpiece.
Okay.
I think every element is relevant in this movie, and maybe they didn't all necessarily need to be there in the sense you're saying, but I think they do all add something to the film.
Okay.
Well, you know my rating.
What is it, 8?
10.
You give this movie a 10?
I gave this movie a 10 out of 10. I think this
Wow.
is a masterpiece.
Interesting. I would certainly not say so. I guess maybe a 6.
A 6.
6.
Okay, so that's still like a vaguely positive feeling.
I liked it.
Yeah.
That's the thing too, is I'm saying these negative things. I enjoyed this movie. I would watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like Cloverfield Lane where I'm going to be like, don't ever show me this fucking movie. Like, if we're sitting around one day doing nothing, there is a small chance that I might go, hey, you want to watch Birdman?
Yeah.
And you'll be like, yeah, because you fucking love Birdman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, because I think it does some things incredibly that I really like. But it doesn't grab me enough, and the film style, I just feel like... I feel like if you took this movie and what it wanted to be, or what it maybe to you what it is, and you took out that it had to be one long, big thing the entire time, and you let there be cuts where necessary... I mean, obviously there are cuts, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then you focused more on the story and characters and stuff like that, I think it would be a better movie. I think that what they're trying to do with
it would be a better movie if they focus more on the characters, because it seems like those were the aspects you didn't like.
Because I don't think they focus on them enough.
Okay.
Because I think the characters aren't put in there well enough, other than the few that I think are really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
And when I say focus on the characters, I mean, like, again, focus on Riggin more.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, why is it when he's with other people that there's never a moment where the voice is talking to him. When he's like out like on stage, the voice isn't saying things. If he was an individual who really had in the quote unquote real world some sort of dissociative identity disorder, which is what this very much so feels like based on the way that it is portrayed, in my opinion, that doesn't just happen when you're alone. That's going to be all the time, you know. And so to me, it feels semi disingenuous that like he's just fine. And then there's even a part that I actually love when he's like freaking out and like yelling at him, and they're yelling at each other, and then Zach Galifianakis walks in, and then you can't hear the other voice anymore. That's really cool, and I think that would have had more weight to me if there were times where other characters were around and you could hear it, because it seems like a perspective switch, which this movie does a really really good job of perspective switching. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, we're focusing on them, and then this character comes and talks to them, and now we're following them, and that's really cool.
That's exactly what I would argue for why the voice isn't there, apart from when he's alone, because it's only truly when he's alone that we are seeing things entirely from his perspective.
I don't agree with that.
No?
No. I think that there are clearly times where it is focused on a character, whether or not other characters are around, and we are really seeing it from their perspective.
Okay.
That's just me, though.
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't have taken me out.
Although, there is you could say that this whole movie is presented to us by Riggin Thompson, because there are a lot of meta aspects in this movie. You notice how the score, the drum beat throughout is one of his hallucinations and something that exists within his own world. You notice how, you know, the voice in his head is something how we hear from kind of a narration way, and not from like a point in the shot. I think there's because this movie is very vague in exactly what everything means and exactly the reality that what we're seeing exists in. I kind of lost the thread of what I was saying.
That's fine. I mean, I think that might be one of my issues. Is I think it's too far on the vague scale. Yeah. Maybe in a way, and maybe that's not what it is. But that's just me trying to come to terms with why I don't love this movie.
What do you think of all the meta?
I didn't see a lot of meta.
Well, just the casting of Michael Keaton.
Oh, because the whole Batman thing?
Yeah.
I think it's like a fun little side note and adds nothing to the movie.
Okay.
I don't know. To me, it's like, it's really interesting because Michael Keaton was Batman. Oh, that's really interesting. That's a really good conversation starter. It has nothing to do with the movie, so you know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of aspects in the movie that are trying to be meta as well. And I think that's
not doing a great job,
right.
I would say, because I didn't pick up on any of them but that one.
And the drum beat.
Oh, I guess at that.
Yeah.
I mean, but see, I don't see that as meta. Because to me, like, I see what you're saying. I think that maybe you are correct in the use of that word there.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that and go, that's meta. I was like, oh, he's hallucinating that. That's very interesting. But I didn't see that as like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't view it the same way you did, I would say. But I mean, I don't think you're wrong on that.
What do you think happened at the end?
I think he killed himself on stage. Because that's where the movie should have ended.
All right. So, what do you think overall?
Of these three movies?
Yeah, the playlist of the three movies we had here.
What did I give Frank?
A 7.
7? I would stick Frank at a 7. I would give La La Land maybe a 9. This was yesterday that we recorded the other two, so I said it would give me some time. Maybe a 9, even. I think that it might be, because I really do think it's just incredible. And I think that the worst of the three is Birdman at a 6. Yeah.
And what do you think of each movie tackling the struggling artist in their own way?
La La Land does it the worst.
Okay. Not
because it's bad, but because it also has like a lot of other theming and that I like more. But like that's a really good. If the entirety of the theme of the struggling artist is a hand, for the other movies, it's a finger on that movie to me. Whereas the main theme is more of like the romanticizing the past that we talked about. I think Frank does a really good job of giving a different perspective and being a little weird. And I think that Birdman probably does the best job of the struggling artist overall. Yeah. I just think that the movie that is built around that incredible morsel is the worst of the three movies. So I think at its core, Birdman is the best movie of the three. I think that the movie built around that core is a little lackluster.
Okay.
Also, I think it maybe doesn't help, not that this is your fault, having heard you talk it up as one of your favorite movies, not remembering you said that on time, but knowing it's one of your favorites, I go into it with a lot higher expectations than I did the other two. You know?
And what would you say the secondary title represents?
The
Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
I suppose if we break down those words, the unexpected is the not expected. Virtue is, to be virtuous is to be good, of ignorance, of not knowing. So what unexpectedly is great about not knowing? Those are what those words mean. I don't know. I haven't considered it to the title, to be honest.
Well, I would say that's Riggins' character is him not focusing on the art of what he's doing and him focusing on his knowledge of the world outside of his creations and his work. And so in the end of the movie, I think he's learned to ignore that, and I think that's what Birdman was a representation of, the voice and the character who follows him around through the movie. And you'll notice at the end of the movie, he says goodbye to Birdman as he's walking out of the bathroom. You can hear him mutter bye-bye and fuck you. So I think the ignorance of the consequence of his work outside and from the outside world is what that represents.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't honestly hadn't thought about it.
Yeah.
I would take your word for it. I just it's not certainly not my favorite movie you've showed me of your favorite movies. What are the 6 above it? Because this is 7.
6 is The Lobster.
A better movie.
5 is Anomalisa.
I haven't seen it.
4 is Adaptation.
Incredible movie.
3 is It's Such a Beautiful Day.
Wonderful movie.
2 is Mother.
One of my favorite movies ever made.
And then Synecdoche, New York.
Yeah, those are. I mean, you got it in the right spot, I guess, because all of those are better movies other than Anomalisa, which I can't say either way.
And then right below it is Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
I found myself. I watched Birdman a couple times over when I was doing Electric Dread, my play, and
I think your play is better than this movie.
Yeah, me too. But that's when I found myself really relating to this movie a lot, and I watched it back a bunch of times, and I'm like, dude, I fucking get it. Like, know what you're going through, Riggin.
Yeah, I think that's just this movie speaks to you more than it will speak to me, because I understand the struggling artist motif, but not from, actually a lot from his perspective, but not the same way. I don't take the same. I maybe have this similar situations, but I don't take the same roads to get where I go.
Right.
Whereas I think that with Frank, I connect a lot more with the character of Frank and his almost ridiculous things that he's doing that really make no sense, and these people who almost seemingly blindly follow him.
Yeah.
Which is the way that I felt so much in my life, especially like in high school. I mean, I was like, not in like a cocky way, but I was like one of the most popular kids in my high school, and all I really did was just like make shit up as I went along. And everyone thought I was this incredible actor, this like cool artist and good poet, and it's like, but I was just a guy who wore a big head. You know.
So I suppose Frank is the movie that because we're both artists in a sense.
I would say so.
And so I suppose Frank is the movie out of these 3 that you most relate your own personal artistic struggle to, and Birdman is the movie that I relate my personal artistic struggle to.
I would say so, because as I've thought about
it, like, cool.
Just good. As I've thought about Frank over the last day, I've liked it more and more because I relate to a lot of the characters in there in my own personal art struggle. Frank and John specifically, really, really feeling like pieces of my journey through the artistic world.
Yeah.
So.
And there's kind of, for me, with Birdman, I feel like I worry far too much about being liked, and sort of my work outside of itself, is something I do. So yeah, I guess that's just kind of us seeing ourselves and life reflecting art, reflecting life, reflecting art, and so on. Yeah, I suppose next time you hear us, we will have seen a different
3 movies.
a different 3, or we'll be about to watch
a different 3 movies. Yeah, how do we end this? I don't remember how we ended the podcast.
I don't remember how we ended the podcast either. With a song.
With a song.
Sing.
La. All right, cut it off halfway through that la.